Florio, Pro Football Talk Live co-host. You sure you want to be part of this, Mike?
I'm enjoying it. I like listening to it. And it's all accurate. And you know what? I think I heard that Hub Arkish isn't voting for Aaron Rodgers for MVP because he can't get the Rodgers
Oh,
rate.
he can't get the Rodgers. No, you get the Rodgers wrath is what you get. And you've felt that before with Aaron Rodgers.
Not like Hub Arkish did yesterday. It's always nice when it happens to someone other than you.
What did you think of what did you have a problem with Hub Arkish?
Well, I have a problem with completely twisted and warped reasoning for not voting for Aaron Rodgers for MVP. It's about what you do on the field from week 1 to week 18, not what you did in the offseason, not what you said in the preseason, not whether or not you were vaccinated, not whether or not you lied about being vaccinated. And I said at the time that he missed that key game against the Chiefs and they lost. If this costs them the number 1 seed in the NFC, it will cost him the MVP. If the Bucs are the 1 seed, Tom Brady's going to be the MVP. But the Packers nailed down the 1 seed. Rodgers' numbers were phenomenal. There's no way he's not the MVP. And withholding the vote for any other reason is wrong. And Hub Arkish shouldn't have one of the votes. I've asked the AP, is he still going to have one of the votes? Because they haven't cast the ballots yet. They should strip it away from him. And all he's apologized for, Dan, is saying it out loud. He hasn't apologized for having improper motivation. So he was flat out wrong. And it was refreshing to see so many people set aside whatever concerns they may have about Aaron Rodgers and point out that Hub Arkish was wrong to believe what he believes as he plans to cast his ballot.
It's been an interesting season for Aaron Rodgers because there seems, and the offseason, it feels like there's been this roller coaster ride of, hey, we support him, we don't support him. He lied to us, deceived us. Man, he's playing great. To, the Packers are screwing him up. Whatever it is, it feels like it's just been this unbelievable ride. But I come back to the same bottom line, Mike. If you play in that division, you have Devontae Adams, and you have an organization that is a really good organization with draft picks, except for Jordan Love. Why would you leave? Why would Aaron Rodgers leave?
You're absolutely right. And that's something Sims and I have been kicking around on PFT Live in the mornings. The idea that he runs that division. It's the worst division in football, but for the presence of the Packers. Where do you go? Where else do you go in the NFL where you slip right in and you have a great team around you that can dominate? The Broncos are the team he's been linked to. Okay, fine. Have fun with the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. Have fun with the Chargers and Justin Herbert. Have fun in the AFC, which has plenty of other great teams. You are in a great spot to keep winning. With Tom Brady, it was a no-brainer. The Patriots' talent was declining. He had a perfect opportunity in Tampa Bay where they had a good team. All they needed was a quarterback, and it worked out. So I think Rodgers should stay where he is. And frankly, Dan, I think that from Rodgers' perspective, it all comes down to the next move the Packers make financially. Do they come to him and say, we're paying you $33.5 million a year. That's the same Jared Goff is making. We know what the market is. You don't even need to ask for a raise. They should come to him and put him somewhere between 40 and 45 million a year with a full guarantee for 2 or 3 years, invalidate the Jordan Love pick, trade Jordan Love, or keep him until the end of his contract. Either way, Rodgers is your guy. That's what the Packers need to do next. And I think if they do that, I think Rodgers would be very inclined to stay.
There's a report that just came out. Seton, do you have that from Mary Kay Cabot, who covers the Cleveland Browns, Cleveland Plain Dealer? It has to do with Baker Mayfield. Do you have the exact language on that, Seton?
I don't have the exact language in front of me, but she basically said that unless there were reassurances given to him for next season, that he would ask to be traded.
Trade him. Bye-bye. That's it. I got no problem with it. And I had a feeling it was going this way. They need to do soul searching about who their quarterback is. And part of the other equation is he may want out. And I've had a feeling all along it was going to come to this. So no, Baker, you haven't been good enough to make demands. Tom Brady can make demands. Aaron Rodgers can make demands. Russell Wilson can make demands. Baker, you haven't done enough to make demands. If this is the way he's going to be, they're better off moving on from him.
And you start to look at, when you have these musical chairs with these quarterbacks in the offseason. Let's say Rodgers stays. So Denver's in the market. Cleveland will be in the market. I don't know if the Dolphins are still in the market. I guess they will be. You can throw Carolina in there. There's a Washington football team. there's only so many quality quarterbacks who are going to be available, and I don't know if any of these draft picks are a draft me now and I play right away. How do you see this scenario playing out in the offseason?
Well, the first step is what happens with the coaches, because I think that has a huge influence on decisions that are made about quarterbacks and quarterbacks making decisions about where they want to go, starting with Russell Wilson. If Pete Carroll stays as the head coach of the Seahawks, he's more likely to want to move on. If they move on from Carroll and they hire a guy that Russell Wilson looks at and says, well, this guy's going to rejuvenate my career and help me get to the 3 Super Bowls that he openly said last week he aspires to win. I mean, unless he's going to play until he's 80, he better find himself in a spot where he's more likely to win Super Bowls sooner rather than later. So the coaching carousel is going to drive it. And, we're seeing this every year now, Dan. I think because teams have become willing to let the bird in the hand go. The quarterback who's just good enough. Okay, it's fine. We have a guy who's just good enough, but we can do better. And we're going to try to do better. And you see a greater willingness from teams to say, we're willing to part with the guy we have in the hopes of finding someone better. The Carolina Panthers are the epitome of that right now. They desperately want a franchise quarterback. They threw out Teddy Bridgewater. They're going to throw out Sam Darnold. They're going to throw out Cam Newton, and they're going to keep looking for better. And I think a lot of teams feel that way.
Yeah, I just wonder if you could see a scenario where Russell Wilson goes to Cleveland.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
I think they have a style that is reminiscent of what Russ had when they had the Legion of Boom, where you had a good running game, but you could let him cook now, as we like to say. Maybe Baker Mayfield ends up in New Orleans. Chris Sims brought that up the other day. Deshaun Watson, Denver, Miami, Carolina. I'm not sure, but, it feels like that, when you start to look at somebody's going to get left out. And is it Denver? Do I want to go into the AFC West? As we just, pointed out, Carolina, are they going to get it right this time? Did the Dolphins upgrade from Tua? Have they seen enough of Tua, good or bad? So I don't know. It's always fascinating, the reality show that is the NFL.
I think they got to move on from Tua. And I know that we're very careful about activating Tuanon. They are very loud, they are very vocal, and they're very loyal. But just watch some of the lowlights from the Week 17 game against the Titans, including the Brucey from the longest yard moment where his arm goes this way, the ball goes that way. He's good enough. That's the thing. Are you tolerating good enough? Or do you want great? And it's clear that Stephen Ross, the owner of the team, wants great, and they've seen enough from Tua to come to that conclusion. Dan, one team you didn't mention that I think is going to be fascinating when it comes to these dynamics of offseason quarterbacks is the Steelers. Yeah. What are they going to do? Because it can't be Mason Rudolph.
No.
And Dwayne Haskins is buried on the depth chart. He hasn't done enough to supplant Mason Rudolph. So it tells me they're going to be looking somewhere for someone to step in. And that's an attractive landing spot for an established veteran quarterback because they got the defense, they got the coaching. Remember the googly eyes between Aaron Rodgers and Mike Tomlin earlier this year when they played? If Aaron Rodgers is looking for greener grass, not that it's very green in Pittsburgh this time of year, but boy, that's a spot where he should at least be wondering, how would it go for me if I could land there?
Yeah, Teddy Bridgewater will probably end up there. This was treated as breaking news yesterday. And WFAA in Dallas, that now we have another site in case the Super Bowl can't be played in Los Angeles. And I thought, is this breaking news? Are they saying the Super Bowl's not in Los Angeles? This is standard procedure, isn't it, Mike?
Well, I think the trigger was the postponement of the Grammys on January 31 in LA. That's what got people starting to connect dots and say, what are the contingencies? And since then, someone from the LA County governmental structures come out and said the Super Bowl is happening here. So, there's a thought that this is all going to peak and begin to subside. Not that anybody cares. That's the other side of it. If anybody cared, it would be different. We're at the point where we're past it. We're over it. Whether that's right or wrong, it doesn't matter. That's where we are. I'd be stunned at this point if the Super Bowl gets moved. And if it does, it's not something they can wait until a week before the game. It's a fairly urgent situation, especially for the folks at NBC who are broadcasting the game to know, where is our operation going to be? Is it going to be in California? Is it going to be in Texas or somewhere else?
Okay. Is there anything that could happen where we would need contingency plans that the Super Bowl would move to Dallas?
Unless that there's, some new variant that is even more transmissible, but far more problematic from the symptoms it causes and the serious illnesses it creates, it would take something like that. But we're talking about 5 weeks away. I think that the current belief is the Omicron variant is going to begin to dip and the clouds are going to part at least for a little bit, and we'll be able to get this done. But who knows? But they do. But Dan, you're right. They have contingency plans every year, just in case something would come up that would keep a game from moving forward.
If you were Antonio Brown's agent, and you being a lawyer, so let's factor that in as well, what would be your course of action?
Well, my first guy would be to fire Antonio Brown, frankly, because he's clearly not following the advice that they're giving him. Because I'm sure they said to him, stay off social media. Let's have no outbursts. Let's lay low here and see how this plays out. Look, Dan, I can't figure this out for the life of me, because if the story from Antonio Brown's camp is his ankle is sufficiently injured that he needs surgery and he's done for the season, why won't the Buccaneers just release him? And why is Brown's camp complaining about, and the hashtag is cut and caged? They're cutting him, but they haven't cut him. They're keeping him in a cage. Well, it's not like he can go anywhere else and play because he's got an ankle injury that needs surgery that knocks him out for the season. I think the Buccaneers haven't released him because there's that sliver of fear that somebody's going to have to explain to Tom Brady why it was that Antonio Brown had 10 catches for 152 yards and 2 touchdowns in the game that knocked the Buccaneers out of the playoffs, up to and including Super Bowl 56, if he would land with the Chiefs, which I think would be the first team I would watch as a potential destination. So that's where the logic falls apart. If he can't play due to the ankle, why won't the Buccaneers just cut him? We're at the end of the season. Just cut him. Cut him, and if wherever he lands, especially if he can't play. So I don't know what to believe. I think everyone's at fault. I think it's a huge mess. It's great for business, but it's not great for the Buccaneers or for Antonio Brown. And I wouldn't want to have anything to do with it as an agent, as a lawyer, as anyone. It's too big of a mess right now.
Let me leave you with this, and this is a curveball. Why isn't Dan Reeves in the Pro Football Hall of Fame?
Well, he will be, and I'll tell you why. Now, in the past, there was too much competition with players for coaches to get in as frequently as they should get in. They've created this separate track now that makes it easier for coaches to get in. And we're going to see the backlog of coaches who should have gotten in, starting with Tom Flores most recently. Guys who will get in who should have been in all along. And you're going to clear out that backlog of coaches who should have been in. But I think the problem is, and it makes it remarkable when a guy like Tony Dungy does it, when you emerge as one of the finalists and one of the ultimate recipients of the bronze bust, when you're competing with quarterbacks, running backs, linemen, players, it's harder to compete with players. They've made it easier, so Reeves will get in.
Yeah, I look at the resume as a player, as an assistant coach, as a head coach, and yes, he did lose those Super Bowls, but man, I think Tom Brady's the only guy who's been to more Super Bowls than Dan Reeves, if that sounds right.
And the challenge is, how do you categorize Dan Reeves? Because they always like to have a category, and sometimes the things you do beyond that category help you get in. It helped John Madden get in. It helped Dick LeBeau get in. His time as a coach helped him get in as a player. But I don't like the categorization. It should be your full contribution to football, and Dan Reeves did more than enough that he should get in, and he will get in. He will get in because of the way they've tweaked the rules. Within the next, 3, 4, 5 years, he'll be in.
Good. Great to talk to you again, Mike. Thank you.
All right, Dan.
Next, Mike Florio, Pro Football Talk Live co-host and contributor to Football Night in America.